Part 1. The Simple Awakening and Meeting Master Hakuin. Kai's Sleepless Crisis. The young man Kai lived in a small village where life should have been simple and peaceful. He worked hard, had a loving family, and was not lacking material comforts. Yet, beneath this tranquil exterior was a slow, persistent personal crisis. Kai couldn't sleep. Every night when his body needed rest, his mind was like a machine that never turned off. It wasn't just isolated worries, but a fierce, endless current of thoughts. His mind raced continuously, replaying past conversations, dissecting every minor mistake, and projecting fears about the future. Potential professional failures, relationships that might crumble, and unfulfilled responsibilities. He felt as if he were simultaneously living hundreds of different lives in his head, yet completely absent from his own life. Kai had tried every method the villagers suggested, from drinking herbal teas and exercising to the point of exhaustion to trying to force himself to think positive. All were ineffective. The more he tried to control his mind, the more unruly and noisy it became. He noticed that the accumulating fatigue not only affected his physical health but also eroded his spirit. He became irritable, impatient, and constantly felt an invisible distance between himself and the world around him. 2. The Old Traveler's Instruction. One evening, as Kai sat by the doorstep with dark circles under his eyes from lack of sleep, an old traveler passed through the village. This traveler, with a quiet demeanor and gentle eyes, immediately recognized Kai's exhaustion. The traveler smiled gently, a smile of understanding rather than pity, and said, "I once had a similar problem. Then I realized something quite simple. I learned not to carry yesterday with me." This saying, simple yet sharp, touched something deep within Kai. It wasn't a remedy, but an accurate diagnosis. Kai realized he wasn't just trying to sleep. He was trying to sleep while dragging all his piled-up yesterdays onto his bed. He was using his precious present energy to prop up the burdens of the past, the regrets, and the should-haves. This awakening was a powerful motivation. Kai understood that the answer lay not in treating the symptom but in finding the root of his restlessness. He decided to leave the village to seek answers from the wise masters in the mountains, those who understood true peace. He headed toward the mountains before dawn, carrying a single desire: to reclaim rest. 3. Meeting Zen Master Hakuin, the Power of Presence. Kai walked for 3 days. Despite leaving his village responsibilities behind, his mind was still restless, constantly, reminding him of things he had said wrong, and every way tomorrow could turn out poorly. Finally, he found a small, simple temple. There, he met an old man pulling weeds in the garden. He moved slowly, carefully, seemingly completely absorbed in each action. The old man smiled gently, introduced himself as Hakuin, and invited Kai to stay the night. That evening, Kai explained his problem. "My mind never stops. I am always somewhere else, never where I am. I thought perhaps Master could teach me how to find peace." Hakuin looked at him with kind, non-judgmental eyes. Instead of offering a complex technique, he asked a simple, weighty question. "Right now, where are your thoughts?" Kai paused, forced to examine his internal experience. He confessed, "They are thinking about how to explain my problem to you, and also recalling a foolish thing I said to someone last month." Hakuin concluded gently, but profoundly, "Then you are not here. You are in the past and the future, but your body is here. Your breath is here. The mind likes to travel. It is almost never where the body is. This is why you have no peace. You are not living your life. You are living thoughts about your life." 4. The core teaching, returning to the familiar place. Hakuin's teaching illuminated the nature of Kai's suffering. He had spent his whole life dwelling in a world of concepts, stories, and fears, completely separated from the one sure reality, the present moment. "How do I stop it?" Kai anxiously asked. Hakuin offered the core answer of Zen. "You don't stop them. You simply notice where you are right now. This was the liberation from the hopeless battle to control the mind. Hakuin taught that instead of trying to suppress thoughts, which is impossible, Kai simply needed to gently shift his attention back to the true, concrete things happening. Where is the body? Sitting on the cushion, standing in the garden. Where is the breath? In and out, the feeling of the air. Where are the sounds? The wind, the flowing water. You are here in this room breathing. That is all that is truly happening. Everything else is a story your mind is telling. Presence, according to Hakuin, was not a complex skill. It was a return to the familiar place, the body and the breath each time the mind wandered. It was the realization that all suffering has the nature of a story, and that story does not exist in the reality of this moment. By simply paying attention, Kai could begin to rest in reality, instead of continuing to flee in the illusions of the past and future. This was the first and most important step on the journey to peace. Part 2. The story of Merchant Tanaka and the disciple. Sorrow. The story of Merchant Tanaka, not inviting yesterday for tea. Hakuin noticed the confusion on Kai's face. Although the teaching on presence sounded simple, how could one truly stop past stories from haunting the present? Hakuin decided to illustrate with a story about Merchant Tanaka, who paid a heavy price for dwelling in the past. Merchant Tanaka was a successful man, but like Kai, he couldn't find sleep. Tanaka's problem wasn't general anxiety, but specific, persistent regret over a bad business decision that had happened 6 months prior. He had lost a large sum of money and couldn't accept the fact. Every night, his mind replayed the transaction, analyzing every step, ruthlessly criticizing himself, and calculating how much richer he could have been. A traveling monk, who was Hakuin on an earlier journey, met Tanaka and asked a key question. "Can you show me this mistake? Where is it right now?" Tanaka replied, confused, "It's in my mind. I remember it every day." The monk emphasized the crucial point. So it exists in your thought. Not in this moment, not in this room. The money you could have had exists only in imagination. Yet, you are trading your real life for an imagined one. This was a powerful insight. Suffering is not the event that happened, but the event that is recreated and sustained in the present by thought. Tanaka asked, "How do I stop remembering?" The monk offered the same metaphor Kai had heard from the old traveler. You don't stop it from arriving. You simply don't invite it to stay. When yesterday knocks on today's door, you can acknowledge it and let it pass. You don't need to invite it for tea and tell it to sit down. That night, Tanaka experimented. Every time a thought of past regret arrived, the image of the transaction, the feeling of self-reproach, he gently acknowledged their presence. Here is the thought of regret arriving, and then returned his attention to what was truly happening in the present moment. His breath, the feeling of the mattress, the silent sounds of the night. He slept soundly for the first time in 6 months. Peace didn't come from resolving the mistake because it had already happened, but from withdrawing the past's power over the present. 2. Disciple sorrow. Enlightenment is always available. Next, Hakuin shifted Kai's attention to the pitfalls of seeking presence in the future. He told the story of a young disciple named Sorrow, who practiced meditation but was always trying to reach a transcendent state, which he called enlightenment. Sorrow meditated with tension, waiting for the explosion moment of insight. He read books, learned techniques, but peace always remained out of reach. An old Zen master named Hui, also an image of Hakuin, interrupted Sorrow and offered him a cup of tea. As Sorrow held the tea, his mind was still analyzing. How must I drink this tea to achieve enlightenment? Is drinking this tea part of a meditation technique? The old master Hui saw through this restlessness and said emphatically, "No, just drink the tea." Sorrow, forced to stop, paid attention to the actual experience. The warmth of the ceramic in his hand, the bitterness that slowly turned sweet, the feeling of the liquid going down his throat. He realized there was only the drinking, not Sorrow trying to achieve enlightenment. All notions of enlightenment or goal vanished, leaving only the simple action. Hui told Sorrow, All your questions are about someday. But the teacup is already here. The drinking is already here. This was the ultimate teaching on presence. Enlightenment is not a destination but the journey, not a future moment, but the full living of this moment. Hui concluded, life does not happen in some future moment of enlightenment. It is happening right now in every ordinary action. When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. When you drink tea, drink tea. This is the whole teaching. 3. Kai begins to practice. Hakuin concluded with Kai, the peace you are looking for is not in a distant place or a future moment. It is available right here when you stop running from now. The next morning, Kai began to practice. He helped Hakuin in the garden, trying to place his attention on the weeds, the soil, and the feeling of his hands working. He noticed the clear contrast between two states. Forced state, when he tried to be perfectly present. His mind resisted, making him tense and self-critical. Relaxed state, when he just gently returned his mind to the action. Feel hands, feel earth. The focus came naturally. Each time his mind wandered, thinking about the journey ahead, or regretting his fatigue, he gently recognized the wandering. He learned that not judging the distraction was an essential part of the practice. Distraction was not a failure. It was a gentle reminder to return to the familiar place, the breath and the body. In the evening, Hakuin gave Kai a final teaching before he set off. Every time you notice your mind has wandered far, you just return. No judgment, no criticism. Just return to this moment, again and again. Kai set off, feeling his feet on the ground, breathing the cool air. For the first time in years, he was not somewhere else. He was exactly where he was. And in that simple presence, something like peace began to grow. Part 3, By the River Meeting Master Soen. The endless flow of the river. After leaving Master Hakuin and practicing the teaching of presence, Kai felt a distinct difference. Thoughts still came, but they no longer had the absolute power to pull him along. However, a deep burden still remained, the grip of old expectations and identities. 2 days later, his journey brought Kai to a large river with a swift, ceaseless current. By the riverbank, he saw an old man sitting in meditation, watching the water with complete stillness. This was Master Soen. When Kai approached, Soen opened his eyes and invited him to sit down. He didn't ask about Hakuin's journey or teachings, but simply spoke about the river. Everything flows. The river never holds onto anything. It lets everything pass. This is its nature. Soen emphasized the impermanence. Anatta of life, one of the core truths of Buddhism. The water flowing through the river is never the same water. Everything in the universe, from the thoughts in Kai's head to his own body, is in a state of continuous change. But human beings are not like rivers, Soen said. Humans grasp at everything, trying to turn the temporary into the permanent. We try to freeze the flow of life and then wonder why we are in pain and stuck. 2. The burden of identity, the son he was supposed to be. Soen turned to Kai, his gaze calm yet penetrating. What are you holding on to right now? Kai felt moved and admitted the deeper issue that presence couldn't entirely resolve, the burden of identity and guilt. He said he felt guilty for leaving the village, for not becoming the son, who would take over the family business as he was supposed to. I walked away. I feel like I betrayed my family's expectations. Soen remarked, you are still carrying that person with you, making him heavy? Kai understood Soen's point. He had physically left the village, but he was still clinging tightly to the story of the person he should have been. He had created an idealized past version of himself and was now struggling with the actual version. That clinging was the cause of his restlessness. Soen explained that, just as a hand tightly gripping sand will hold nothing, clinging to an old identity or story only makes them flow away in pain. Letting go is an act of trust and acceptance of the flow. 3. The metaphor of holding and using. Soen offered metaphors for how to interact with life. You cannot hold water in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it flows away. But if you cup your hands gently, the water can rest there for a while before flowing on. This is the subtle difference between holding and cherishing. Holding is an act of fear and possession. Cherishing is an act of respect and acceptance. There is a difference between using things and being used by them, Soen said. Between appreciating what you have and needing to possess it forever. The river uses the stones to shape its course, but it doesn't try to possess them. It leaves them there until the flow changes. Kai admitted he was holding on to the idea that he needed to be fixed after failing to find peace in the village. I am holding on to that story about myself. I think I am the wounded one who needs healing. Soen nodded, concurring with the fatigue Kai was feeling. The identity of the wounded one who needs healing. That is a heavy burden to carry. You are not wounded, Kai. You are just holding too tightly to things that want to flow. 4. The simple practice of letting go. Soen guided Kai to practice letting go by becoming like the river, accepting change and flow. This is where life happens, not in yesterday or tomorrow. Here, Soen pointed to the riverbank. Letting go does not mean not caring or being irresponsible. It means doing what needs to be done in the present, such as seeking peace, but not clinging to the outcome or defining oneself by that outcome. Kai began to practice sitting by the river. Whenever the feeling of guilt or the fear of not being good enough arose, he imagined that feeling, that thought, as a leaf dropping onto the water. He watched it without judgment and let it flow away. He didn't need to forcefully throw it away, just not hold on to it. The quality of his rest changed. It was no longer just focus on the breath, presence, but a lighter, more open feeling, letting go. He began to understand that the peace he sought would come naturally when he could rest in this simple presence, unburdened by the weights of past and expectation. That holding is tiring. It is one of the main reasons you couldn't sleep, Soen concluded. By releasing the grip on old identities and stories, Kai created space for what was truly here. Life happening. Part 4. The broken reflection and the lesson of Chio. Chio, letting go of possessions, gaining freedom. Master Soen noticed that Kai understood the importance of letting go of inner identity, but he wanted to emphasize that the principle of letting go also applied to the material world and external experience. Soen told Kai about Chio, a woman who lived in the capital city, coming from a wealthy family. Chio's life was filled with beautiful objects, from expensive silks, rare paintings, to exquisite ceramics. Chio was immensely proud of her possessions and had built her entire personal identity around those objects. She spent hours arranging, cleaning, and protecting them. She knew the exact value of everything and was constantly on high alert. But the wealth did not bring happiness. On the contrary, it brought continuous suffering. Chio worried incessantly about theft, about things breaking, about fire. This restless anxiety made her unable to sleep, always tense, and affected everyone around her. She had used objects to define herself, and in return, she was possessed by those objects. Then the thing Chio feared most happened. One night, a large fire broke out, consuming the entire house and all the possessions. Chio and her family escaped safely, standing there watching the flames swallow everything she had cherished and protected. For years, Chio felt something completely unexpected and unexplainable. Relief. All the things she had spent years guarding were gone. The burden was lifted. Chio turned to her husband and said, "I feel lighter than I have in 20 years. They rebuilt, but this time Chio lived differently. She bought simple, practical things and easily let them go when they broke or were lost. She no longer built her identity around possessions. Chio realized, I lost objects, but I gained freedom. The fire took my possessions, but it gave me back my peace." 2. Jiro. The broken reflection and the suffering of holding onto experience. After illustrating the letting go of material things, Soen turned to a more elusive subject, letting go of internal experience. Soen told about the disciple Jiro, who had a wonderful meditation experience. a moment of extraordinary peace and oneness. The experience came and then passed, but Jiro became desperate and angry, trying to recreate and hold onto it. His meditation became tense, full of effort and clinging. He had turned a beautiful experience into a burden, a goal to be achieved. Jiro came to Soen in despair. Soen took him outside to a still lake, where the sky was perfectly reflected. Soen picked up a stone and threw it into the lake. The reflection shattered into ripples. Soen asked, "Now the reflection is gone. Should we mourn or try to bring it back?" "No," Jiro said. "The ripples will subside. The reflection will return by itself." Soen said, "Your meditation experience is like that reflection. It arises from conditions. It is real and beautiful, but it was never meant to be permanent. By trying to hold onto it, you are fighting the very flow that made the experience possible in the first place." Jiro had made the common mistake, turning a temporary moment into a perpetual expectation. 3. The fatigue of clinging. Soen concluded, "The teaching of Zen is not about collecting special experiences. It is about learning to live in harmony with how things truly are, flowing, changing, impermanent." Soen re-emphasized the link to Kai's problem, that holding is tiring. It is one of the main reasons you couldn't sleep. The clinging, whether to past regret, Tanaka, future expectation, sorrow, material things, Chio, or special meditation, experience, Jiro, consumes enormous mental energy. Soen gave Kai a specific form of practice to deal with this clinging. He gave Kai a handful of pebbles. Whenever you notice you are holding on to something in your mind, imagine dropping a pebble into the river. Watch it sink and disappear. That is the practice. Not forcing yourself to let go, but gently allowing things to drop. That night, Kai practiced by imagining anxious thoughts as leaves floating on the dark water. He stopped holding them in place and the quality of his rest changed. It became lighter and less exhausting. "Letting go does not mean not caring," Soen said finally. "Letting go creates the space for what is truly here. Letting go of the clinging to the idea, I must sleep or I must be peaceful, is what allows sleep and peace to naturally arise." Part 5. Master Dogen. Emptiness as the sky, the nature of no self, 1,000 words. Meeting Master Dogen, moving beyond the grip. After absorbing the teachings of presence from Hakuin and letting go from Soen, Kai felt a significant lightness. He was no longer dragged down by past stories or future expectations. However, he still struggled with a deeper issue, the feeling of a solid self, trying to perform all these teachings and feeling like a failure when perfect peace wasn't achieved. To address this, Kai's journey led him to Master Dogen, famous for his teachings on emptiness, sunyata, and the practice of zazen, seated meditation. Dogen was a profound master, yet his teachings were direct and practical. Dogen greeted Kai with silence, inviting him to meditate first. While meditating, Kai felt his mind still trying to find the I that was meditating, the I that was trying to sleep. The feeling of a broken person who needed fixing was still subtly present. 2. The story of Ako, empty and free. Dogen began with the story of Ako, a woman who came to the hermitage in deep sorrow. Her husband had died, and she felt she was nobody because the role of wife had defined her identity for 20 years. "I am just empty," Ako cried in despair. Dogen asked a question that cut through the nature of suffering. Who is it who feels empty? Who is experiencing this grief? Dogen explained that Ako's pain came from fully identifying herself with a temporary role. That role was never you. It was what you did. It's like an actor forgetting they are an actor when the play is over. Ako's roles, thoughts, feelings, even her name were all changing things, not a permanent, fixed self, no self, Anatta. When the role ended, she felt empty. But Dogen pointed out that this emptiness was not frightening. After a month of meditation practice, Ako had an insight. "I am empty because I have always been empty, empty of a permanent, fixed self." And this emptiness is not sad. It is vast. It is free. 3. Emptiness as the sky, space not object. Dogen explained the concept of emptiness to Kai with a powerful metaphor. In Zen, we call this emptiness. Not empty like an empty barrel, but empty like the sky. Dogen pointed to the sky. The sky is empty of objects, but it is the space where everything appears. Clouds drift across it, but the sky itself remains unchanged, empty, and full all at once. Thoughts, emotions, anxiety, or even the state of peace are all the clouds. They appear, move, and vanish. But Kai is not the clouds. Kai is the vast, unaffected space, the sky. Kai tried to find the solid self, the ego that needed to sleep or needed to be fixed, but he could find nothing solid. He realized that the self he was trying to save or fix did not actually exist. 4. Freedom from the need to fix. Dogen concluded, "You came here thinking you needed to fix yourself, but there is no fixed self to fix. You are more like a river than a rock, always flowing, always changing. The suffering comes from trying to be a rock, trying to be solid." The practice of emptiness freed Kai from the need to become perfect or become enlightened. Dogen applied this teaching directly to Kai's sleep problem. The mind that tries to sleep is actually preventing sleep, because there is a sense of someone doing something, trying to sleep. But sleep happens naturally when you stop being someone who needs to sleep, when you just rest in the already peaceful awareness. Peace is not the result of achieving a state, but of resting in one's already available, already complete nature. Dogen instructed Kai. Clouds can drift through you, thoughts and feelings, but you are the space, not the clouds. Let everything pass in the space of no self-awareness. That night, Kai rested in awareness. With no solid self trying to sleep, sleep came more naturally. Finally, Dogen told Kai to go down the mountain to meet Master Ijo, who would teach him how to be at peace even when life was messy and imperfect, and address the final issue, self-criticism. Part 6, Master Ijo, Self-Compassion. The harsh voice on the road. After leaving Master Dogen, Kai had a deep understanding of emptiness and no self. He practiced resting in awareness, seeing thoughts as passing clouds. However, as he walked down the mountain, he noticed an old pattern was still very strong. Despite his progress, a harsh, non-stop voice was commenting in his mind, "You are not doing it right. You should understand better by now. You still feel anxious, which proves you're a bad meditator. This teaching is not working for you." Kai realized he had replaced self-criticism about not being able to sleep with a new form of self-criticism, criticizing himself for not practicing meditation perfectly. He had turned the teachings into a new standard for judging and criticizing himself. He arrived at Master Ijo's small temple in the market town. Ijo had a kind face and welcomed Kai with warmth. Ijo, through Dogen's message, knew of Kai's problem. Ijo said, "Dogen mentioned you might be a little hard on yourself." Kai admitted, feeling ashamed, "I feel like I am failing to learn these teachings." 2. Kindness for others, harshness for oneself. Ijo began by comparing how Kai treated others and how he treated himself, a powerful tactic to highlight the internal contradiction. Ijo asked, if a friend struggled with something difficult, say, making a mistake or feeling anxious, what would you say to them? Kai thought and answered naturally, "I would tell them that it's okay to struggle, that mistakes are part of the process. I would encourage them to be kind to themselves and start over." "And what do you say to yourself when you struggle?" Ijo asked. Kai lowered his head. "I tell myself that I should be better by now, that there is something wrong with me." Ijo asked frankly, "Does that harshness work?" "No," Kai admitted. "It just makes me feel worse, and I get more tense when I meditate, leading to more distraction." The harshness had become a vicious cycle. Criticism created tension, tension caused mistakes, and mistakes provided more evidence for criticism. 3. The story of Dai, the power of kindness. Ijo told the story of the disciple Dai, who constantly made mistakes in the temple chores and could not forgive himself. Dai was fiercely self-critical, which made him tense, anxious, and caused him to make more errors. When Dai dozed off during meditation, Ijo gently woke him and said, "You look at others with compassion, but you look at yourself only with judgment." Ijo gave Dai a simple yet revolutionary practice. Every time the critical voice arose, Dai had to ask himself, "Would I say this to a friend I cared about?" If the answer was no, he had to say something kinder to himself instead. Gradually, Dai learned to respond to harshness with gentleness. When he dozed off, instead of criticizing, "I am useless," he changed the thought, "I am tired today. It's okay. Just straighten up and take a deep breath." Ijo emphasized that the change in Dai was remarkable. As he became gentler with himself, he became more relaxed and made fewer mistakes. Ijo concluded with a simple metaphor: harshness creates fear and tension. Kindness creates safety and openness. Which soil do you think is better for growth? Compassion was the best foundation for spiritual growth. For compassion is not excuse. Ijo told Kai that self-compassion was not self-indulgence or an excuse for laziness. On the contrary, it was a form of radical honesty. Ijo told about Hannah, who thought being kind to herself would make her lazy. But the truth was, when I am not exhausted from fighting myself, I have more to give to others. Compassion is not a limited resource. The more you have for yourself, the more you have for others. Kai asked, "How do I know if I am being compassionate or just excusing myself?" Ijo replied, "Honest compassion sees clearly what is happening without judgment. Excusing is refusing to see clearly. An excuse would say, I don't need to meditate today because I'm too tired. Avoiding reality, compassion would say, I am tired right now. I will meditate for a shorter time of 5 minutes and rest with kindness." Accepting reality with gentleness, Ijo guided Kai to face his fatigue and anxiety with kindness. Compassion would say, "It's okay that there is still some anxiety. Old patterns take time to change. I am doing my best." Compassion is the bridge between theory, presence, letting go, emptiness, and daily practice. It teaches Kai how to become a good friend to himself instead of a cruel critic. Only when he could be kind to his own imperfection could he truly rest. Ijo advised Kai to return to the village to meet the last teacher, Old Woman Ren, an old woman in the village who lived with profound peace without needing to go anywhere, embodying all these teachings in ordinary life. Part 7, Master Bank. Accepting reality as it is. Peace amidst the chaos of the market. After learning about compassion from Master Ijo, Kai felt a great change in how he treated himself. He had stopped self-criticism and began to face his remaining anxiety with kindness. However, he still had one final leg of discovery: learning how to maintain this peace when faced with the uncontrollable chaos of the world. The journey brought Kai to Master Bank's temple, located right in a noisy market. When Kai arrived, the noise was the first thing he noticed. The calls of vendors, the creaking carts, distant arguments, and children playing. Kai asked, surprised, how people could meditate with all this chaos. Bank smiled. "Life is here. This is where the practice needs to happen." Bank explained, "True peace is what remains when conditions are difficult. Peace comes when you stop trying to control life, when you accept what is instead of constantly fighting for what should be." This was the perfect synthesis of the previous teachings: presence in the moment, letting go of the need to control, and treating the experience with compassion. Bank would teach Kai that acceptance is the final act of letting go of the mind's resistance. 2. Farmer Teacher, the one who fought reality. To illustrate the power of acceptance, Bank told the story of Teacher, a good but miserable farmer. Teacher was not miserable due to laziness or lack of skill. He suffered because he had very specific ideas about how things should be. The weather should be favorable, the harvest should be as expected, insects should not appear. When the rain was late, there was flooding or insects attacked. He experienced it as a personal injustice. He lived in a state of constant resistance against reality, leaving him exhausted and irritable. Teacher had made himself a victim of things he could not control. A traveling monk asked Teacher, "Does the weather consult you before deciding when to rain? Do you think the universe is obliged to arrange itself according to your wishes?" The monk pointed out the painful truth. The suffering you are experiencing does not come from the late rains or the insects. It comes from your refusal to accept reality as it is. Reality does something and you say, "No, that is wrong." You are exhausting yourself fighting an opponent that never loses. Reality always wins because reality is what is already happening. The monk explained that Teacher could perfectly well work with the conditions as they were, plant a different crop, adapt, but he didn't need to add the layer of resistance and resentment. Teacher realized he had made himself miserable all year over things he could not control. 3. The simple shift. The next morning, Teacher woke up and tried something different. Instead of immediately thinking about what was wrong, he simply paid attention to what is. The sun was rising. His body was healthy enough. His remaining crops were growing. Were the conditions perfect? No. Were they acceptable? Yes. Throughout the day, whenever he felt the familiar resistance arise, he practiced simply acknowledging reality. The weather is dry today. That is what is happening. Not it should be raining or this is unfair. Just this is what is. Gradually, the shift occurred. When he stopped adding resistance, the conditions themselves didn't hurt as much. Life became much easier when he worked with what was, rather than demanding what should be. 4. 3 layers of suffering and acceptance. Bank then applied this teaching directly to Kai's problem. Most of our suffering comes from resistance, from demanding that reality be different than it is. Kai admitted he did this with his own mind. "I think my thoughts shouldn't race. My anxiety shouldn't be here. I just make it worse by fighting it." Bank affirmed, "A restless mind is not the problem. The refusal to have a restless mind is the problem." Bank told the story of Yumi, a mother exhausted by her baby's constant crying. Yumi was tortured by the belief, "This shouldn't be happening. I must be a bad mother." Bank pointed out that Yumi was experiencing 3 layers of suffering. Layer 1, the crying, difficult actual condition. Layer 2, exhaustion, physical consequence. Layer 3, resistance, the belief that this shouldn't be happening, and self-criticism. Acceptance is the removal of layer 3. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up, Bank said. It means continuing to care, doing what you can, while recognizing that the outcome is not fully in control. Just as the gardener accepts that weeds grow and calmly pulls them, Kai could accept that a restless mind appears and work with it skillfully. By accepting the noise of the market, Kai learned, peace is not the absence of difficulty but the presence of acceptance. Kai set off for home with the understanding that peace is not perfection or control, but the acceptance of what is. Part 8 Master Bank. Stopping the fight against the restless mind. Exhaustion comes from resistance. Kai meditated at Master Bank's temple, right in the midst of the market noise. After hearing the story of Farmer Teacher, Kai had a profound insight. He realized he had been doing exactly what Teacher did, but his object of battle was the internal world, not the external weather. Kai had been fighting his anxiety, his mind's restlessness, and the imperfection of his practice. He had told his thoughts, "You shouldn't be here, I should be still," and that resistance was the biggest source of his exhaustion. Bank reaffirmed this truth. The next morning, Farmer Teacher tried something different. Instead of thinking about what should be different, he simply paid attention to what is. He practiced acknowledging reality. The weather is dry today. That is what is happening. Bank continued. Most of our suffering comes from resistance, from demanding that reality be different than it is. Teacher was fighting his own experience, demanding it be otherwise, and that battle was truly exhausting. Kai suddenly realized that he had been using presence, Hakuin, to try to control, letting go, Soen, to try to escape, and compassion, Ijo, to soothe the wounds of trying. But lacking acceptance, Bank. All those tools were still part of a strategy to force reality to conform to his will. 2. The noise doesn't disappear, the suffering does. Bank invited Kai to meditate amidst the market noise. This was the final test of acceptance. At first, Kai was pulled back into resistance. I can't focus. This noise is irritating. But he remembered Bank's teaching. He didn't try to make the noise disappear. He practiced accepting the sounds. They are here. The vendor is calling. The cart is passing. That is reality. He stopped demanding they be different. He stopped adding his resistance. And the miracle happened. The noise didn't disappear, but I stopped suffering from it, Kai said. Bank explained, exactly. The noise is just vibrations in the air. Your suffering is your protest against those vibrations. When you remove the protest, you are just left with the vibrations, and they are no longer a problem. The restless mind is the same. A restless mind is not the problem. The refusal to have a restless mind is the problem. 3. Applying acceptance to sleep. Bank told the story of Yumi, a mother exhausted by her baby's constant crying, mentioned briefly before. Yumi was tortured by the belief, this shouldn't be happening. I must be a bad mother. She was fighting the reality of the crying, turning it into a personal attack and proof of failure. Bank told Yumi she was experiencing 3 layers of suffering. The crying, the reality, the exhaustion, the consequence, and the resistance, the idea it shouldn't be this way. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up, Bank said. It means continuing to care while recognizing that the outcome is not fully in control. Yumi tried simple acceptance. The baby is crying. That is what is happening. When she stopped fighting the reality, her tension eased, and that ease created a more relaxed environment, and the baby's crying also subsided. Bank guided Kai to apply this to the late night when he couldn't sleep. Don't say, I shouldn't be awake. I must sleep. Resistance, say, I am awake. This is the moment. I am breathing. This is reality. Acceptance allowed Kai to shift from a state of fighting to a state of rest, from trying to control an uncontrollable outcome to merging with what is. 4. Returning to the ordinary. Bank concluded, peace is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of acceptance. You accept what is right now. You do it from a place of acceptance, not resistance. He likened it to the gardener who accepts that weeds grow and calmly pulls them. Acceptance is the ultimate act of wisdom. It makes us cooperate with reality instead of fighting it. Bank smiled and told Kai he was ready. You have learned all that is necessary on the mountains. Now, it is time for you to see how it all works in the ordinary. Bank reminded Kai, you have learned that peace is not at the mountaintop or in special experiences. It is right where you started. Kai set off for home with lighter steps, carrying a new kindness toward himself and the understanding that peace is not perfection or control, but the acceptance of what is. He understood that the return to the village was not a failure but the completion of the journey, where the great teachings of Zen would be perfectly embodied by the final teacher, who never left where he began. Part 9. Old Woman Ren. Peace in the Ordinary. Returning to where it began. After receiving the great teachings from the 5 Zen Masters on the mountains, presence, Hakuin, letting go, Soen, emptiness, Dogen, compassion, Ijo, and acceptance, Bank, Kai set off to return to his village. This was not a failure or a surrender, but the completion of the journey. He returned with the understanding that the deepest truths are not hidden in faraway places but lie right in everyday life. Upon arriving in the village, Kai found his final teacher, Old Woman Ren, an ordinary woman, slightly stooped, working in her garden. She moved slowly, carefully, with complete attention on every twig, every bed of soil. A profound and unshakable peace emanated from her, utterly without fanfare or ritual. Kai approached her. Old Woman Ren's presence was the living answer to all his questions. She had never traveled, never learned any special techniques from the masters on the mountains. Kai asked her, "How did you find this peace? What secret did you uncover that the great masters taught me on the mountains?" Old woman Ren smiled kindly, and her laugh was the sound of absolute understanding. "I didn't uncover anything. I just lived. Too. The secret of the ordinary." Old woman Ren invited Kai for a cup of tea, sipping it contemplatively. "Let me tell you about my life, and perhaps you will see. There is no secret, nothing special, just an ordinary life lived simply." She recounted her life. Born and raised in the village, helping with farm work, marrying a good man, having 3 children. They built their small house and lived an ordinary life with good years and hard years. She simply did what needed to be done each day. Feed the children, tend the garden, cook meals, mend clothes. She never had grand questions about meaning or purpose. She just did what needed to be done each day, and this was the key point. The simple things were done with attention. Her husband died 15 years ago. The children were grown and had their own families. She lived alone, tending her garden, helping neighbors, and watching the sunset. Nothing special, just an ordinary old woman living an ordinary life, she said. She continued, her voice filled with insight. "But this is what I discovered. This ordinary life, when you truly pay attention to it, when you are completely present with it, is extraordinary." 3. Inherent completeness. Old woman Ren had lived all the teachings Kai had traveled far to find, but she summarized them in a single, simple truth. She explained that the extraordinary did not come from a special event happening, but because everything is already complete exactly as it is. This synthesized the master's teachings. Presence. Old woman Ren did everything with attention, Hakuin's teaching, letting go and acceptance. She accepted the seasons, the loss of her husband, and the hard years without resisting or clinging to them. Soen and Bank's teachings. No self. She didn't try to be someone special, just an ordinary old woman. Dogen's teaching. Old woman Ren pointed out the mistake of most people, including Kai. People think peace requires something extra, special knowledge, special experience, special conditions. But I found it right here in the most ordinary moments. Weeding, washing dishes, watching the seasons change. These simple things, when you are truly present with them, contain everything. 4. The journey was already here. Kai leaned forward. "But didn't you ever feel something was missing? That you should have gone seeking bigger experiences?" Old woman Ren admitted she sometimes wondered if she was missing something by not traveling or studying with great masters. "But then I realized I was already traveling. Every day is a journey. Every moment is a teaching. I just needed to pay attention." This statement illuminated Kai's mistake. He had turned the search for peace into a geographical and academic journey, while it had always been an internal journey of attention and acceptance. She walked over to a small altar, where there was a simple vase of flowers. "Do you see these flowers? I picked them this morning from my garden. They are just ordinary flowers, the kind that grows everywhere. But when I arranged them this morning, I truly looked at them, and in that looking, there was such beauty, such completeness. Nothing was missing." Kai realized that all the teachings he had received, the absence of a fixed self, the acceptance of change, compassion for what is, were all embodied by old woman Ren simply by living fully. The greatest teacher was not the one with the most complex insights, but the one who had put those insights into practice most perfectly, right in the ordinary nature of life. Kai thought of all the places he had gone, all the masters he had met. They had taught him profound things, but this old woman, who had never left her village, seemed to understand something equally profound. Zen is not something to do, but a way to live. Part 10, Synthesis of Wisdom and the True Return. A synthesis of the teachings. Kai sat opposite old woman Ren, feeling the deep, simple peace radiating from her. He realized that his search was not to discover a new secret, but to remove the layers of resistance and expectation that obscured the peace that was already available. Old Woman Ren was the living image of the synthesis of all the wisdom he had gathered on the mountains. He reviewed the key teachings: presence, Hakuin; relinquish clinging to past and future; learn to reside in the body and the breath; live your life, not the thoughts about your life; letting go, Soen; accept the impermanence of all things, objects, experiences, identities; stop holding, just cherish; letting go creates space for what is truly here. Emptiness, Dogen realized the no-self, empty nature of a fixed self. Be the sky, not the clouds. There is no fixed self to fix. Compassion, Ijo, respond to imperfection with kindness, not criticism. Become your own best friend. Harshness creates fear. Kindness creates safety. Acceptance, Bank, cooperate with reality as it is, not fight for what should be. Remove the third layer of suffering, resistance. Peace is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of acceptance. All this Old Woman Ren had achieved simply by living fully and attending to mending clothes, cooking meals, and weeding the garden.
Zen wisdom kai realized
Was not an abstract philosophy but a practice of the ordinary. 2. The completion of the journey. Kai had sought peace in faraway places, but ultimately found it right where he started. He had searched for a special outcome, enlightenment, good sleep. But Old Woman Ren's teaching pointed out that peace lies in the process, in every moment lived fully. He realized his problem was not sleeplessness but his resistance to sleeplessness. He couldn't sleep because he was busy fighting reality and trying to be someone who needed to sleep. Now, with the understanding of emptiness, no rigid self trying to sleep, and acceptance, no resistance to being awake, he could relax. He learned that sleep and peace were not things to be earned or achieved, but things to let go of the effort and allow them to naturally appear. 3. Kai's true return. Kai stayed in the village, not because he failed to find something on the mountains, but because he had found his own foundation. He applied the teachings to daily life. When he helped his mother in the garden, he remembered Hakuin and Ren's teaching. Attend to the feeling of the soil, the sound of the birds. When thoughts about the family business came, he remembered Soen's teaching. Let go of the story of the person he should have been. When he found himself worrying about tomorrow, he remembered Bank's teaching. Accept that anxiety is a temporary reality. No need to fight it. When he made a mistake, he remembered Ijo's teaching. Respond with kindness. I am learning, not criticism. The quality of his life changed. He no longer struggled with his thoughts, but became like the sky, Dogen. Vast, unaffected, where thoughts and feelings, clouds, could freely appear and vanish. When night came, Kai was no longer a person trying to sleep. He was awareness resting in the body. When thoughts arrived, he gently acknowledged them and returned to the breath, without judgment. Sleep came, naturally, not as a victory but as a gentle surrender. 4. Conclusion. Peace is action, not state. Kai's journey was over, but his practice was just beginning. He realized that peace is not a state of perfect stillness without thought,